So it is now recording. Can somebody confirm whether I'm clearly audible or not? Okay, thank you for confirming the same. So in this session, we will try to cover a bit about the user journey and the UI UX flow, and most importantly, the uh, prioritization frameworks. So before we begin with any of the topics, there is one more thing which I wanted to explain, which I had explained in the first session as well. Since it is very important for this session, I'll be explaining that once again, so that in case anyone have missed, they can cover up simultaneously. So, just give me a second. It's still loading. Okay. So what happens? A product manager or anyone who's working on product side get many ideas. They get many ideas from business, market research, data analysis, the relevant stakeholders, like the consumer, the investor, and so on and so forth. So we get multiple ideas from the multiple sources. Now it is not possible for us to work on all sort of problems. So as like the first principle, we'll try to, for example, we get multiple ideas. Let's say we got 100 ideas. So as a product manager or as a, even though if we are working on any tear down project. So likewise, if you have scraped the reviews of the user in order to understand what exactly they are looking for. So there is one thing that you might have observed. There are multiple requests from the multiple users. Now, maybe it is not possible for product managers to work on all sort of product ideas. So a product manager research and validates which specific product idea is making sense to the business and its users. So after, let's say we have 100 ideas, let's say we filter out the top 20 ideas which is making sense to the business. Now these 20 ideas will be prioritized. Now, how should we prioritize these different 20 features? So there are multiple prioritization frameworks which can be used in different use case scenarios. So I'll try to cover almost most important prioritization framework that we usually use in on daily basis. Once we prioritize, let's say we have to develop or work on these 20 features. So this, let's say this collectively, we document this. So we create a product roadmap. So a product roadmap is a high level document which contains details regarding what exactly we are building in the next few 6 months or 1 year down the line. So this is a product roadmap. Once we have the product roadmap, it is very difficult. Let's say a product roadmap has like 20 features listed that we want to develop these 20 features in the next 6 months. That's a really high level document, as well as this specific document is very extensive. So what we do, these 20 features, we try to break it down. Let's say one, and so on and so forth. So we create so this is in fancy, we call it like the product backlog. And at this point of time, we create a PRT. PRT stands for product requirement document. So it contains all the necessary information about the product or the feature that we're developing, like where should exactly the button is. If the user clicks on this button, then what should be in the next screen? If this is the current flow, then what could be the most possible uh, 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 next flow would be. So let's say this PRD document helps us understand what exactly needs to be developed. And then we have a sprint backlog. Let's say it is even if you break it down, this one feature, like on one day we need to develop this, and the second day we need to develop this, and so forth. Then it is, in fancy terms, we call it sprint backlog. Once the feature has been developed, it has been tested by a product manager or a tester. So likewise, in some of the companies they have a separate tester, and some of the companies a product manager do all of the two things. And then once we tested alpha after the alpha and beta testing, we collaborate with the sales and marketing team, then we launch the product, and then the same product is being used by our users, and then the user explain their pain points, and then we get another ideas, and this chain goes on and on and on. So in fancy terms we call it product development lifecycle. So in case any of you have any doubts in regards to the product development lifecycle, just let me know, I'll definitely take that up. Yeah, nice. Anyone, in case any of you have any doubts. I'll be sharing this document so that guys can follow up as well. Okay, I guess I can move forward. In case you have any doubts, you can just ping me. Now I'll be starting with what exactly. So at this point of time, I explained about the prioritization frameworks. So which prioritization framework should we use? In what case scenarios we should be using these features? So frameworks. So I'll be explaining this as well in this session. So we previously had a product management bootcamp where we discussed a lot about the uh, product management cases, how to solve these cases, and also the prioritization frameworks. So I'll be covering the same again in for this product tear down, so that when you have certain suggestions, so how will you be prioritizing the same? So first of all, we have a rice scoring model. So so we have four different parameters: the reach, impact, confidence, and uh, effort. Just ignore this, it's effort. So reach basically means in case we have a certain idea, let's say, then what is the reach that we can get from that specific feature? What is the overall impact that it can generate to the business? What matrices that it will be able to generate? Confidence, since we make certain assumption over here, like in the reach and impact section. So how much confident we are about the assumptions that we had made. Let's say if we are developing a feature, or we have already done a pilot testing, then in that case scenario, or we have seen that it had worked for some companies in some other countries. Just let me zoom in. So in that case scenarios, we will have more confidence. And and the last parameter is the effort, how much effort is required in order to build that feature or finish that specific project from end to end. And then this is the formula that we use. So, okay, okay. So this is part of a product tear down project around Swiggy. So the user recommended three different feature, and then based on the a certain assumptions we have given, that we'll be able to get certain reach. This is the impact that we will be able to create. And this is how we have created the rice score and prioritize the features accordingly. Like Swiggy Crave Map would be on the top, followed by this, followed by this. So based on certain assumptions and certain parameters, we are prioritizing the different features. Then next we have weighted weighted scoring decision matrix. So if I have to explain this again, so it is similar to the rice model only, but this is a better version of rice only, where we don't, for example, in this case scenarios, right, we have certain feature. Now, the point is that we have reach, we have impact, we have confidence, we have effort, and we are making certain assumptions and we are calculating the same. But different features might have different weight to the different parameters. So, for example, let's say we have new features, new onboarding flow, a Google Calendar integration on our existing application, or a Slack bot. Maybe if we are working on Slack and we are adding a new feature called Google Calendar integration or a bot which can interact with us. Now, this could have different impact on business, cost, and revenue. So we try to what matters the most, the business value matters the most in this case. So again, these parameters are not fixed. You can change these parameters according to your business industry or the sort of business you are into or the product you're into. So we can define the different parameters and then assign the weights to it, like 5 for the business value, cost for 2, and revenue. I repeat once again that these parameters are not fixed depending upon the product or depending upon the industry. These different parameters can be altered. And after assigning the values, then we can give it a certain score, 3. And the other could be the how much revenue that we can generate, what could be the reduction in the cost, and what could be the risk associated with this entire model and so on and so forth. So other criteria can be considered as well. Okay, next we have the value versus effort model. So there are certain features which will add a lot of value and this the same would require certain effort. So depending, so we have again created a matrix in order to explain this. So let's say we have a high value feature with a low effort. So we'll try to build this first because it is quick win. Then followed by we have high value and high effort. So it will deliver high value and also it requires high effort. So we'll try to build this. Similarly, in case we have like low effort and low value, so we park it for later and do not work around this, or maybe for a later phase we work on it. And something which has low value and high effort, so we do not work on these aspects. So this is the value versus effort framework which we use while prioritizing things. So I can explain you with a real case study and with a real example. Uh, so I'll try to just give you. So I was working on some aspects. So what happened? We have certain features. Like we have an email. First of all, we have a email feature through which we can shoot email to a lot of users at once. So it is like a low effort and high impact because it helps us get better reach with our current system only. So this is so I want you to give more context to it. So this specific product that I have mentioned, so it is similar to Unstop where we host corporate case competitions. So next we have a managed role. So like Unstop has a feature called you can add any other person who can go through the opportunity, edit the opportunity, and go through the number of registration that they have and so on and so forth, even evaluate those. So it is something which requires high effort and also it has the high effort and high value. So we have worked on that at the second. Then this one like the dashboard summary. So it is like a low effort. So we have parked it at the end. And then there were certain features like adding zoom and so it was something we parked for later. It is not even like a high effort, but we thought it is not relevant to our business. Similarly, there was one feature. Just give me a second. I guess this one, the upload manual registration one. So this was one of the feature which required some lot of effort and simultaneously it do not have much. value to the business. So we have just cut that specific feature. So I hope this much is pretty clear to you. I'll try to again um, try to understand how, in case you have any doubts. Okay, we do have a doubt. I find it difficult to measure and judge the expected reach value for any feature. Can you please explain how to bring that down in quantity numbers? So it's okay. So I'll try to break. So it is again, it is guesstimates at the end. Like um, how good you are at making certain guesstimates. So maybe you can take the current number of current users into consideration, or depending upon the feature that you have. Let's say you have, I'll try to even break it down. For example, um, I'll try to explain it with the startup I'm currently working with only. So just give me a second. I hope my screen is visible. Okay, it's visible. So I'm currently working with a startup called Pickapole, where we connect people in their customized facility. So I'll try to explain that only. So we added a new feature called yes, okay. So for example, we have a buy and sell feature. So for example, we added a new feature through which that we can share this specific deal with anyone. For example, I'm sharing this with myself only. Okay. So this is the very basic feature. Once the user clicks on this, he'll be redirected to this. And then he'll be able to chat with the audience and also the product and the associated product and so on and so forth details. Now, the point is that when we discussed about this feature, so we try to break it down. What is the number of new users that we can expect? So we try to first of all calculate how we can actually what is the number of audience to which we can actually reach out. So we had something called as campus cart. So campus cart is again a community of students where they can buy and sell. So we were sharing these products in these groups. And upon sharing these on the groups, so we make certain decisions, certain assumptions that 10% of the individuals or maybe a percent of the individuals would be joining this because they are interested in specific product. How much confident we are because we already had a community and we have previously pulled this something, so we were more confident. So this is something which is based on some guesstimates and something in which you should have conviction. So it is like some critical thinking and how do you exactly make certain guesstimates. So I hope this much is pretty clear. I'll try to explain it further in upcoming part of this specific session only when we'll discuss more about the other aspects. Okay. In case any of you have any doubts, just let me know. I hope you're able to turn on your mic. Okay, I guess we can move forward then. Okay, someone is typing. Hey, actually, I have previously taken certain sessions on guesstimates. I'll be sharing that only. So in guesstimates, it has been usually asked in interviews where they ask you to estimate the number of like WhatsApp messages which has been sent by users in India, or how many people use how many people joins a meeting on MS Teams, Google Meet, and so on and so forth. So these are certain questions which has been asked in certain interviews, but it is also applicable when we are working on certain use cases and different prioritization or strategy, and even when we are working on a product and calculating its certain outcome. So maybe in the next time I'll be explaining the same, the guesstimates one. Okay. Uh, what other variables can you use when you're is gonna affect the revenue cost or business values? As an example. Okay. So likewise, in this case scenario, let's say we have a new onboarding process. So um, in this specific example, I will try to explain again with certain features or the a case study so that you get a better understanding. So with this same very startup, we have something called, let's say we have a new feature, and in and after that we have a new feature, we make certain changes to the existing onboarding process. So let's say we have a new product which we are endorsing on the very first page, or let's say a new service on the very first page. So instead of having a touch point or at the other phases or the other part of that user journey, we are trying to get that on the very first screen. So likewise in Pickupful, we have previously done that. So, but right now we have made the changes. So at the moment, so it is mostly the UI only, like how UI so can affect the revenue and the other aspects. So even the onboarding process is like the first part of it, making the user understand what the company is about, what we do, and so on and so forth. So since they have a better understanding about the product, so they'll be able to spend more, spend in the initial phases only, since they have the clear understanding. Uh, Okay, I'll take that up in some time. Meanwhile, we can move forward. So this is the okay. So I guess my screen is not visible. Okay, next we have the Moscow prioritization method. So Moscow stands for must have feature, should have feature, could have feature, won't have feature. So, okay, I'll try to explain it first. So we usually use this when we are working on prototype, not prototype, on MVP. So we basically map out things. So likewise in the previous example, Uh, a dashboard is a must-have feature, so we need to develop that. Similarly, manage roles, the one that I explained previously, is again should have feature. So should must have feature are those features about without those feature, a product would sustain. Should have feature is something which provides delight or user. We can add that, but um, once we are done with the must-have feature, then we can work on the should-have feature. And could-have feature is again like uh, we prioritize it at the third. Once we develop the should-have, then we work on those could-have features. and then won't have features. We basically uh, scrape those ideas and we don't work on those problem statements or the product ideas. So we mostly focus on a must-have feature, should-have feature, could-have features, and we avoid these could-have features. So we use this specific prioritization method when we are working on this MVP. So let's say we are developing a new product. So in that case scenarios, this framework makes a lot of sense. Next, we have the story mapping. So I guess I have previously shared a PID document of Apple airports, where they had multiple user story. And depending upon the user story, they prioritize that this specific user should be prioritized, and uh, the point that they are facing at the moment should be addressed first, followed by the other user, followed by the next user. So likewise, when we will be doing this user journey, so we'll try to understand how different users, basically how different users interact with the application and what are the series of steps that they follow. Once they follow, for example, they log in, they access the account. So it is for a mobile app for depositing checks. Uh, Sign the check, photograph, checks the photograph, submit the deposit, and confirm the deposit. These are the steps which has been followed by the user, and similarly the details. So there are like the different approaches, or let's say the different aspects that the user follow. So if we try to understand what user problem should be addressed first, followed by the other, followed by the other. So this is a user story map. For more details, you can refer to the PRD document of Apple Airports, which has been shared in the group in the after the very first session. Then we have the priority poker prioritization method. So this specific feature is not very relevant when we are working on any tear down project. But what we do, we have like set of multiple individual, and then let's say we have multiple features. So we try to ask these folks like, would be they interested in this specific feature, or they have any other idea, and so on and so forth. So it's like a high collaborative prioritization method where people anonymously vote for the different feature, and then the ones with the most votes is been ranked first, followed by the other, followed by the other, followed by the other. So this is called as the priority poker prioritization method. So it is widely used in corporates. As far I have heard of podcast of product managers of Misho. So it was something which was explained by the product manager of a Misho, where he explained that how they use um, priority poker method at their workforce. Next, we have the Kano model. So this entire Kano model will be explained in this a specific graph. So there are four different feature bucket. Firstly, just let me see in case I have. Okay. Firstly, we have a performance. So this performance basically means the more you get this specific feature, the better you get, the more delighted, the more satisfied you are with that specific feature. Although you're currently satisfied as well, but if you get more, you'll be even more satisfied with that, like internet speed, or your Wi-Fi, or maybe some other stuff that you can think of. So we call it like the performance feature. So the more you get, the more you're satisfied with that specific feature or functionality. Next, we have must be. So any feature which is like the must have feature. So it is similar to the Moscow model only. So firstly, we try to work on this must be so that we are competitive and we are able to satisfy the user needs. once we are at a point where users are satisfied with the most important and must have feature, then we can stop working on that specific aspect. Next, we have the delighter. Any feature which provides delightment to the user is called as the delighter feature, which in simple terms, any differentiating feature that we might have. So it is like being presented as an attractive feature. So any attractive feature. Next, we have the basic feature, which is my feature. So we know there are certain feature which doesn't makes much sense or requires a lot of time. So we try to avoid that and may try to work on that at the very end. So in Kano model, we primarily focus on these four aspects. Okay, so that's it for this prioritization framework. I was a bit quick because I had to cover some more things as well. In case you want to learn about this in more detail, you can refer to the videos which has been shared on our YouTube channel. So we have covered all these things in more detail. Anything that you guys wanted to ask? In case you have anything to ask, you can turn on your mic and speak up. Okay, I guess we can move forward in case you don't have any doubts. So now we'll move forward and we'll discuss about the UI analysis. How do we do UI analysis and the basic principles that we follow. So just let me share the other presentation. Is it the one? So I guess most of you have understanding about the UI. So, but I'll try to just explain it in very simple terms. Whatever you see on any application, let's say the buttons, the mockups, and so on and so forth, any shape out there. So, in simple terms, that entire user interface is like your UI, and we'll try to analyze that and understand why it matters, and in product yet and how we can exactly improve this. So UI analysis is basically means reverse engineering a design to understand how it exactly works. Okay, so is what we see and interact with the buttons, the layout, the colors, the typography which has been used. It's just UI. So what is the most so whenever you're doing a UI analysis for a product teardown, so you need to take you need to follow a 5-step process. So I'll try to break down each step one by one. Firstly, okay, so I guess I have explained this as well. Okay, so the very first step is to understand about the current user flow is. So every good design starts with the user journey. So user journey basically means a series of steps which has been followed by a user while it interacts with the product. For example, when if we take an example of Swiggy, So what is the very first move? So you first of all you search for food, then you pick a restaurant and add to cart and then pay. So that path, like from hunger to order confirmation, is your user flow. So when you analyze a UI, the very first thing that you should ask is, what is the user main goal? So in our case scenario, the very first step is that the user want to order some food and uh, get it at it doorstep. So we'll try to understand what is the series of steps that they follow. Are there any friction points? In case yes, how we can cater to that? Secondly, we have wireframing. So wireframing again means you are just creating a UI, the series of steps that you follow. The color, the visuals, and basically the layout of that current UI. So if I had to explain it further, so it basically means where the different buttons are, the different topography which is being used. Like uh, the designer usually sketch this out first, which we call in fancy terms as the wireframe. So during structuring and analysis, we try to understand is information is being placed at the right place and logically, or do your eyes moves easily across the screen whenever you are interacting with the application. Even a black and white outline can teach you a lot about design thinking. So you can try it out on Figma or maybe some other platform. Okay. So in this case scenario, so every product has its like own design. It's like brand grammar. So it should be consistent. Then it should have the colors which is relevant to the brand, and then the style again should be very consistent and relevant to the designs. For example, when you're doing a teardown of Google or Netflix. So if you take a look at Google, their their uh, their search bar there is very clean. It has been cleaned at the very center. Like the moment user wants to interact or search anything, the user will click. So it is very clean. And finally, the design principles that you guys can take into consideration when you're working on a product tear down. So I'll try to sum it up in brief, like the hierarchy that it follows, like the important stuff that should stand out first. So important things should be there. Then the contrast, the text and buttons should be easy to read. Then the balance. So the layout should feel stable, cluttered. Likewise, the Google or the Netflix that you might have seen. Then consistency. So the design, layout, the text, typography, everything should be consistent. Then simplicity. It should be very simple so that user understands it. And then feedback. So user sees when they take an action, like a button changing. So maybe you can incorporate such design as well in your um, uh, UI analysis, or maybe you can recommend this in case any company has not yet been doing this. So that's about uh, UI analysis, and at the end, you need to evaluate and iterate. So I would like to explain this again with certain examples. So likewise, the feature that I had previously explained. So once we have a specific UI, then we try to test it out. We get certain feedback while interacting with the user. We reiterate and uh, make certain changes to our existing design. For example, the one that the one screen that I showed previously of Pickapple. So the moment we click on the media, so there is like the description or the price as well. But earlier we don't used to have that specific feature because the user were only redirect to the chat thread. We added that because the moment we started interacting with our users on that specific platform, so the very first thing that they used to ask is, what is the price of that product? And I'm like, it is mentioned in the description of the product, and how old is it, and so on and so forth. So all these details were mentioned on the product page. Since they were directly redirected to our chat thread, so they used to ask the same question again and again. So we try to understand, oh, we should make this change to our existing UI, and this is something that we did. So if I have to just sum it up, so first of all, we need to understand about the user journey. Likewise, the way I have explained for the Swiggy, or maybe if I talk about the pickup poll itself. So the moment click on that specific chat thread, it has been redirected. So it is one user journey. There is another user journey. The user opens the app, clicks on the buy and sell, and then find a product and then interact. So this is a second user journey. Then the second step is wireframing. So we try to just map out where should be the button is and so on and so forth. And then we study the design. So we try to maintain consistency. The buttons should be consistent. It should be relevant to the brand colors and so on and so forth. Then we use this core design principles. It should be first of all, it should convey the important stuff. Then it should be readable. Then it should be simple that user should be able to understand. Everything should be consistent across all the pages. And then a feedback mechanism. So I hope this much is, and again, then we interact with the user, we get multiple feedback. Then we implement that in our existing product. So that's about the UI analysis. In case you have any doubts, or in case guys have anything to ask, just let me know. Maybe you can turn on your mic in case you have anything uh, or any doubt. Clear. Okay, cool. Just give me 1 minute. I'll, so when you're working on, let's say, these product teardown, there is one thing that you can do in order to create one of the, I guess, the best teardown projects. So I'll just give me 1 minute. I'll try to showcase it with you, and I'll be also covering this in my AI prototyping session. So I'm just sharing my screen again. Okay. So we are currently again working on new feature. So we connect people in their customized vicinity, as I mentioned. So there is a new feature that we are trying to implement, which is tagging feature. So this is the I would like to show you the current UI so that you get a better understanding. So the one that I showed is just a prototype that I built with 5 coding tools. So this is the current UI where we have it is very clean. What I need other details about the same, a picture that I can add, and the radius. So we have around 448 people in a 3 kilometer radius. So it is taking my specific location as the center and creating a radius of 3 kilometer. So there are 448 people with which I can connect. Now we are working on a new feature called tagging. So where exactly? So this is the place where we have recommended this one plus button where people can add their picture in case they want to. And then there's a filter. So they can have the college filter. So people around their vicinity. So they can select college like they want to connect with DTU folks, NSUT folks, GNU folks, and so on and so forth. Similarly, they can choose their interest, activities, sports. So we have again analyzed multiple fields which can be taken into consideration. Apart from this, but it is just a once a prototype that we have built in order to explain that this is something that we are recommending. So, for example, let's say if you're working on any prototyping, you are working on Zomato and you are trying to explain a new feature that Zomato should implement. So you guys can basically get that you can create a prototype of the same. You can use their screenshot like this is the current screen. This is the current screen, and this can be further be improved by this. So you guys can do that using base 44, Lovable, Bolt, and so on and so forth. So we tried a lot of tools in order to get the best possible result. So you guys can do that as well. So that's it about for the session 3, where we discussed about the UI analysis, the prioritization frameworks, and in case any of you have any doubts in regards to the session 3, you can just ask at the moment. I'll definitely take that up. And in case any of you have missed the session 1, you can stay in the meet as well. I can cover that as well in this session only and share the recordings with the rest. Okay, it took like 1 hour. Is this it for today? Yes, that's it for today. In case you have anything to ask, you can ask. Like I covered, I guess, most of the aspects. What about the, yeah, as I mentioned, the session third is being completed. The session one will be covered. So in case any of you have um joined the session one and would not like to stay further. So that's it for session third. Session will begin with the session one soon. Yep, sure. I'll share all the necessary resources so that you guys can take note from there.